As we await his whistle to get underway for tonight's contest. Michigan State wearing their home whites, Chicago State wearing their road blacks as we are underway from East Lansing.
Michigan State will start with the ball here, look to possess it early, try to see if they can get on the board.
As you get a look, starting captain Jack Beck, a staple for this Michigan State Spartan team for seems like the past eternity for the green and white, but he will be gone after this year.
Yeah,
Michigan's
when it comes to Beck, a lot of their offense is going to start with the ball at his foot. He's going to be able to do a lot of facilitating here tonight, and they're going to need him.
As that ball's picked off by Insko. Michigan State, Cromer decides to go back to Crawford, who's listed as a forward to start today's game. He'll slot in defense as that ball picked out just outside of the 18-yard box by Wador. A foul given up by Spatafora, Chicago State. Finally able to relieve a little bit of pressure as Michigan State, once again, a chance go abating.
Early on, you want to make sure that you keep all the emotions low, feel out the other team. Try to just stay as composed as possible for the later parts of the match when opportunities become more.
As Seifert will kick it up the pitch, it'll find now Reed Steven in a one-on-one with Josh Adam. He gets it back to Finnerty. And that's something to look out for throughout this match, is that top three forward group for Chicago State of Shepard, Reed Steven, and Agyekum. But Michigan State willing to possess the ball as much as possible in this game. Spatafora trying to play it onto himself, able to beat Calwayne Allen, but it'll roll back in to Seifert. Chicago State coming into this game still winless, as was noted in the pregame, suffering that 2-0 loss to University of Illinois Chicago on Friday. And Coach Norris Howes, just a few days ago, wasn't too pleased with the way his team defended in that game on those two goals. A set-piece goal given up for the first one, and then a lapse of judgment in the back line, keeping a player onside, as that resulted in UIC's second goal. But Norris Howes wants his team to be the type of defensive stronghold that you see a lot of top-tier soccer programs, especially in Europe, play. He likes to be able to have his team be broken down at times and to work to get that happen, because it seems as Chicago State leaking those 9 goals on the year, but they've been better in the past few matches.
Well, you touched on it. It's one thing if an offense is so good and it breaks you down and they're able to score that way, but when you're handing them opportunities and creating those opportunities for them, that's when you have a problem on your back line. And so Chicago State looking to get back to their ways and try to make offenses work a little bit harder to earn their points.
Just Jai Shepard couldn't corral that one. He'll send it out for another throw-in for Michigan State as they've worked themselves up close to the final third. And a little bit of a late game change, or a late lineup change, or not lineup change, a color change for Michigan State, wearing those white jerseys. We're going to go with the charcoal jerseys, apparently, but it was too close to the road blacks of Chicago State. So you get those white and green combinations for Michigan State. As they are the home team, they are forced to kind of give way to the road team in this one.
When I was growing up, Cam, whenever I played soccer, white was always the home kit. So always nice to see the home team in some white jerseys.
So that ball sent forward, looking for Agyekum. He can't bring it down past Crawford. Chicago State still threatening, though. Agyekum trying to play it forward, but the speedy Tyler Crawford able to get there first. Crawford has made his way into the starting lineup for Damon Redsing's squad, starting the last 3 games. Now chalk up another one as he starts this game. 4 appearances so far in his freshman year at Michigan State. A foul given away by the Cougars. It'll be a Michigan State free kick, as just going in a little bit overzealous. was Chicago State.
And a little bit of aggression here early from both sides. As I said, it's the feeling out process this early in the game. You're trying to set some stuff up for later in the game, get some of those movements, those runs, anything that can lead to in the later parts of the game to create goal-scoring opportunities.
As Flores concedes the throw in, Spatafora from Michigan State trying to lay it off. It'll be picked out by the Cougars. They're a speedy counter-attacking team as they look to bring it forward. Agyekum past one. He slips, though. To find its way to the near side for Wador. He gets his pocket picked as here comes Michigan State the other way. Perkins. Now to Sala. Played forward by Babiak. Babiak taken down. No whistle coming as Will Perkins still working on Agyekum. Still doesn't commit the foul. Chicago State tries to clear it only as far as Sala. Beck trying to work through the defender. He's forced to play it back. A good spell there for Michigan State, but an equally better defensive effort by the Cougars.
Michigan State really has to possess the ball in this game. They've struggled offensively in their last few matches, and this is an opportunity to, as we said, get back on track as they're going to be entering conference play pretty soon.
And Jack Beck tripped up late. A little late knock picked up just at the halfway line. Pleading his case was, I believe, Agyekum. So get a look at Jaye Shepard. Jack Beck looks to be all right after taking that late knock. And, yeah, just a little bit of a late clip there by Reed Stephen. Nothing much in the way of a booking for the referee. Michigan State doing well to possess early on in this match. Spatafora trying to bring it down. He'll go to Cromer. Outside for Crawford. Sala trying to get the ball back. It'll be cleared away by Koshihasi. And another Michigan State throw-in.
I like what I'm seeing from Michigan State offensively here early on in the match. They're setting up some certain things, different looks from one side, the left side, or the right side. Haven't quite seen anything up the middle, but the Spartans are a team that like to attack from the outside in, and that seems to be the way that most teams play. But if you can keep working on those throughout the game, eventually they will break.
And as you said, Ensko trying to lay in a through ball for Sala. Too far in front of him. It'll go out for a goal kick for Seifert. Hailing all the way from Daxweiler, Germany. Coming out of Stefan George Gymnasium. Highlights Manuel Neuer, Ter Stegen, and Ederson as his favorite players. All three very stout goalkeepers in La Liga, the Bundesliga, and the British Premier League. A few of those leagues I take a liking to on the weekends. But just not this past weekend, as the British or English Premier League took the weekend off following the death of Queen Elizabeth, with no timetable set to return for those fixtures. Spatafora, he'll commit the foul, and once again another chance goes begging for Michigan State, but they've been able to slightly break down this Cougars defense.
Yeah, good play there by Sean Martin there in the corners. We're going to get another look at it. Clear whistle there on Spatafora. So that's going to bring up a free kick. But, yeah, so far sound defense from the Cougars. They played well there on that back line. As we talked about, giving them 9 goals so far this season. That's definitely something that they want to minimize here tonight.
As Seifert will put it into the mix. Wador. He'll just see it out for a throw. Too far in front of Shepard, and once again out for another Cougar throw-in.
So far we've only seen Chicago State get it into the attacking third about once. Michigan State cleared that pretty easily, but as we said, they're very quick on the counters. That's how they like to attack defenses. So later on in the game, Michigan State's going to have to make sure that they're careful on the offensive end, that they don't leave themselves exposed to those counter runs.
Sala entangled with Flores on that play. Chicago State able to advance numbers forward. Along the far, this near side for Agyekum, dealt with swimmingly by Perkins, but kept in though at the halfway line by Wador. To Jaye Shepard, he goes down as Gugamis commits the foul, and it'll be a dangerous free kick opportunity for Chicago State. So we get another look here. A little bit of a jersey grab by Gugamis, but great showmanship by Shepard to go down and earn the Cougars a free kick.
This is the first real set piece opportunity of the game, and obviously set pieces are where a lot of goals are created, so we'll see if Chicago State can convert right here.
Reed Steven, he goes for goal, and that one well over the bar, and a wasted opportunity for Chicago State.
Not sure if that's exactly what they wanted there. I mean, obviously in a direct kick situation, you don't want to put it that high over the bar when you have a cross situation, but you got to love sometimes just going for the goal, man.
Possibly catch the goalkeeper a little bit off his line as here comes Michigan State going forward. A great defensive recovery by Koshihasi. The ball played back in immediately by the Spartans. Adam. Sala along the near line. Gugamis. In for Cromer. Lovely back heel. Spadafora. Still Spadafora. His shot. Wide. Perkins. And that one wouldn't go as it's cleared out of the 6.
A couple really good shots there from the Spartans. Spadafora made a really nice move there in the box. Just wasn't able to beat the keeper. Nice play there by Seifert to make the save.
Chicago State letting Michigan State have a few of those good opportunities, but they're able to clear their lines and win themselves the throw-in. But a lovely opportunity and lovely bit of footwork and interplay between Cromer and Spadafora. Now on the opposite side, Agyekum. That ball picked out, sent back to the halfway line for Calwayne Allen to deal with. Now along the far side, Umanji. And just not on the same page with Flores. Kept in, though, along the end line by Tyler Crawford. It's Michigan State looking to regroup from the back.
Speed of this game early has definitely stood out. These teams are flying up and down the field with each other. And we know Chicago State likes to get out and run. Michigan State does to an extent as well. So we'll see how that continues here as this game progresses.
And the Spartans comfortable bringing it forward, breaking those lines from the back 4. Back to Adam. Almost a dangerous pass as Beck was able to get there first in front of Jaye Shepard. Cromer. Spadafora to Gugamis. Tried to link up with Spadafora. He gets clipped in the process, but no foul upcoming.
Little 1-2 action there by the freshmen, both who have looked good so far this season.
So we'll take a look at that chance for Michigan State. Spadafora, great parry there by Seifert. And the return effort by Perkins just hit his own guy and Babiak in the 6. And a clear-cut chance for Michigan State. 2 good opportunities, but unable to beat the left palm of Seifert. And Marco Seifert, not a stranger to making big saves when his team needs to. 4 saves in that 2-0 loss to UIC on Friday. So Michigan State still keeping a majority of possession through the first quarter of an hour. Lovely skill move by Cromer, unable though to get past Flores. He'll see it out for a throw.
You mentioned with Seifert, They didn't exactly know necessarily who their keeper was going to be coming into this season, but he's really taken that role and run with it. Had a really good start to the year. So we have a whistle and a stoppage here.
It looks as though making his way off the pitch is Ekyekum. Looks to be in some discomfort as he makes his way to the Chicago State bench. So the referee here will stop time. As it looks as though Chicago State's going to have to make a quick injury substitution here in the next few moments. As Norris Howes looking to explain his case to the head referee. So for the moment, Chicago State playing with 10 men. Perkins. From Sala back to Perkins. Perkins still around Wador, unable to beat Flores. It'll be brought forward by Reed Stephen. Able to work around the seniors in both Beck and Perkins, but it won't get past the left boot of Chase Insko. It's Michigan State with possession still going forward. Spadafora tried to go into the mix for Babiak. It's reclaimed, though, by Gugamis. Outside for Crawford. That one takes a deflection. It'll go out for a corner as we'll get that substitution for Chicago State.
It doesn't look like a substitution.
Take a look at that last chance. Crawford belted it right off the face of Sudeth.
Looks like Ekyekum came back out onto the pitch there rather than a substitution.
So it looks as though Ekyekum is okay. Just a little bit of a Charlie horse. Makes his way back in. As we receive words, it's actually a change of the boots going with the Neons for the rest of tonight's match. It'll be sent in by Sala. Pawed down by Seifert. It'll go back out for another corner.
These are the opportunities that you need to convert on if you're Michigan State. They're in the corners. So we get another look at that last one. Nice save there from Seifert.
Almost took out his own man in the process as well as Ekyekum found his way back into the mix. Sent in by Sala. To go out for a Michigan State throw.
You can see Michigan State wants to move quickly there in those transition periods, those throw-ins, those free kicks, anything like that. They're moving very, very quickly, trying to get the ball back into play.
Beck will win it in the middle of the park as Josh Adam will settle it down. Michigan State trying to wear down this back four of the Cougars. Perkins along the near side. Back to Adam. Perkins able to get there first was Wador. It'll be another Michigan State throw. Gugamis now trying to work around Flores. Wador in support. He'll concede the corner as it's another corner for Michigan State, their third of the game. And Jack Beck will come in to take this one, and he's the kind of guy you want on a service in this position.
Yeah, he is. Like I mentioned earlier in the match, a lot of the goals happen when the ball starts on his foot. He's a great facilitator for this Spartan team. And let's see what he can do here on this corner. Michigan State starting to turn up the heat a little bit offensively, putting some pressure on the Cougars with these set pieces.
Beck with one goal already this season, a penalty kick against Army. 3 assists to his name in his Spartan career. He'll send it in, pawed out by Seifert. And a foul in the box will result in a free kick for the Cougars. And another chance for Michigan State goes begging.
So far, these corners for Michigan State just haven't quite been long enough. As we take another look at it, just easy for Seifert just to get in front of it and knock it out of play. He's done it now with all 3 corners that we've seen. You got to get that ball a little bit more out wide rather than close enough to the keeper where he can punch it out like that.
And that'll drive coaches crazy, always wanting to beat the first man. That's the mentality on set pieces going forward. And it's something that Michigan State has struggled with as of late is set pieces, just not beating the first man, not getting the type of service that you want. As the Spartans, as we talked about in the pregame, winless in their last 4 after that 2-1 victory over the Golden Knights of Army. And what really was a shocking victory for Damon Rensing's squad. Outplayed Army through a majority of the game, getting that one consolation goal late in the second half was the Black Knights. Trying to spring a man forward was Gugamis, too far in front of Babiak, and Seifert able to collect. But Michigan State, it hasn't been smooth sailing for them, and it really has been because of their lack of ability to score goals.
And that's where it all starts, especially in this game. If you're not scoring goals, it hurts. Your defense is playing a lot of minutes in their third, and eventually they're going to break down and allow goals. And it's not that they've been getting blown out here in these few games. It's just their offense has just been so far behind their defense that 1 goal or 2 goals is enough to hand them a loss.
Sala with a flip-flap, tried to get around Wador, but it'll find its way back to Perkins. Tried to get Babiak, did not go off his head as he ducked out of the way. He had Seifert fooled. It'll go out for a goal kick as we take a look at that chance. Perkins did just enough to try to get it to Babiak, but he ducked out of the way, and it'll roll out for another goal kick for Chicago State as we'll get the first substitution for Damon Rensing's squad. Rensing, former Stalker standout here at Michigan State, the 5th head coach in the Spartans soccer history. Came to the helm in 2009 at the beginning of the calendar year. His 14th season as the manager for the Spartans. Has a few NCAA tournament appearances to his name, including a College Cup Final Four just a few years ago. But really hasn't had the best of luck in the past few years. A lot of graduates, including last year, losing one of their best players in Farai Mutatu, who was drafted by the LA Galaxy in the MLS Super Draft. Currently playing alongside Chicharito in a few training sessions, as I've seen. As Chicago State, their attack blown dead by an offside, is unable to get back in time was Reed Stephen.
And you mentioned for Rensing, just the last few years they've struggled, but they've had a lot of success in the past. It just seems they haven't quite gotten the reloading period right necessarily in replacing that talent that they have lost in the past years. But they've got some bright young players on this team who've played very well early on in the year, like Gugamis, like Spadafora, who the future seems bright here in East Lansing.
Jack Gugamis, as you said, scored his first collegiate goal over the weekend against Bowling Green in that 1-1 draw. Looking to get another. He'll play it forward. Or excuse me, it was Babiak. Babiak! Negated by an offside. But another good opportunity for the Spartans. That one negated by the linesman's flag. As we'll take another look at it. Just popped up right into the wheelhouse for Babiak. He got a lot on it. But either way, it was negated by the offside. And Michigan State really doing well for a majority of this game in terms of possession, possessing the ball well in the first 2/3 of the pitch, but not a lot of clinical finishing abilities, nor a lot of efficiency in that final third. And that's basically been the mainstay for these past few games.
Yeah, and that's just part of how this game goes. You have to keep applying pressure to the defense. Not every opportunity is going to result in a goal or even a legitimate opportunity, but you have to keep pushing. You have to keep pressing that defense, and eventually you can get it to break.
Adam with it. Once again along this near side for Perkins. Perkins shadowed there by Agyekum. He'll try to beat him to the end line. And it will go out for a Michigan State corner. The fourth one other game as Wador was unable to keep that ball in. Another close call here for the Spartans. As Wador just unable to get the left peg on it. So we'll get another substitution as Zach Babiak makes his way off the pitch. It'll be Grayson Mercer. Finds his way into the game. So it'll be Tyler Crawford to take it along this near side. He's got Sala in support. And the referee will hold play here as we have a little bit of a shoving match inside the 6-yard box. Akyakum getting a stern talking to with Gugamis. Both players wondering what they did wrong.
Tensions are always a little bit higher in the goal kick, or corner kick, excuse me. Everyone's just so tight together. It's almost impossible not to make contact with the opponent.
Crawford sends it in. Back post for Mercer, and tapped in by Gugamis. What a lovely corner by Crawford, finally sent in. And it's Jack Gugamis. It's Jack Gugamis. Makes it 2 goals in 2 games. Both him and Grayson Mercer celebrating. And it was indeed scored by Grayson Mercer. The 2 9s getting mixed up from everybody up here in the press box. But Chicago State looking to bring it forward the other way. Trying a chip from distance was Flores. And that one's sent over the bar.
Regardless of whether or not Gugamis gets credit for the goal, it's still another assist. He's still the points leader for this Michigan State team, and he has definitely played very well so far here in his first season in the green and white.
So as of right now, Grayson Mercer with his first career goal as a Spartan. Had an assist on Gugamis' goal on Friday. It tacks on 1 goal for this season. And only his 19th appearance for Michigan State. The Spartans still pressing though. Spatafora trying to keep it in. The Cougars wanted a handball. It'll stay with Michigan State. Mercer from distance. Spilled out and Sala couldn't get the rebound. And Seifert, after giving up that goal, looks to be a little bit shaken. But he's able to recollect as we take a look at that goal. Possibly the finishing touches on a ball that was already in past the line was Gugamis. As we'll wait to see if that goal is indeed changed. As of now, Grayson Mercer's first as a Spartan. Sees Michigan State up 1-0 with under 20 to go in the first half.
And we saw when the goal was scored, Chicago State was calling for an offsides call. So maybe part of the reason why it was because the ball was already across that line before Gugamis touched it. Obviously, as you mentioned, Cam, we will see as it progresses if they maybe change that result.
Mercer and Gugamis not on the same page there as they were a moment ago. It'll be a Chicago State throw-in for Wador. Florent Wador, native of Aubon, France. Played for the Cougars in fall 2021. 862 minutes played for the Cougars last year, starting his 3rd game in his 2nd season. Michigan State, though, with it forward. Mercer out to the far side for Crawford. Shadowed there by Flores. Back out to Zuge. Now over to Perkins. Sala. That pass picked out by Wador. He's pestered immediately. Finally sent out by Agyekum. Or excuse me, not Agyekum, by Calwayne Allen. Gugamis trying to get on the other end of a Chicago State defender. A great backtracking effort by Jaye Shepard. Or Sean Martin, excuse me. Sees it out for a Michigan State throw-in.
Chicago State's got to be careful here. They've been playing way too much in their defensive third. Really only 2 legitimate chances so far for the Cougars, and Michigan State's really turned up the heat since that first goal and really put pressure on Seifert in the back.
No foul given, says the center referee, as Reed Stephen went down in a heap. Getting away with one there may have been Chase Insko. The referee waves play on.
And Insko with the spot start here today. Elijah Howe out of the lineup, who's the main center back for the Spartans.
Josh Adam. That's a lovely ball intended for Tyler Crawford. Won't make it, though. It's picked out by Flores. Brought forward by Calwayne Allen. Referee says play on. Picked out by Seifert. He is able to get in front of Allen, or excuse me, Mercer. And another chance for Michigan State trying to play Route 1 football, it seems, in the final quarter of an hour.
Missed opportunity there from Chicago State. They had a man wide open on the opposite side of the pitch. It was the perfect opportunity for a switch, and instead they tried to go up the middle. It just didn't work, so now they have to reset as some subs come on for each team.
For Chicago State, Reed Stephen and Agyeka make their way off the pitch. Gugamis and Spadafora out. So replacing the forwards is Damon Rensing for Michigan State. Wador. Picked off, though, by Jack Beck. Zuge. Now with Insko. With less than 15 minutes to go in the first half. Substitutions for Chicago State. Ludovic Rocha and Sonny Dhaliwal in for the Cougars in place of Jesse Agyeka and Niall Reed Stephen. A double substitution either way as Michigan State just welcoming the pressure from Chicago State. Nothing really going so far for the Cougars. A few opportunities here and there, but Michigan State doing well to control in their own half.
Michigan State so far, as we talked about at the top, possessing the ball really well. And when you're a struggling offensive team, possessing the ball is one of the best things that you can do, because possessing the ball gives you more opportunities. It lets you connect some easier passes before having to make those, all-important through balls that can lead to prime scoring opportunities.
And for Chicago State, they really haven't decided to choose one side to really kind of exploit for Michigan State. The senior Will Perkins on this near side hasn't really had much to deal with Wador and Shepard. But for some reason, Chicago State just hasn't had the amount of players going forward that is needed to break down this Michigan State defense.
They're playing too much in their defensive end. It's that simple. And so far, it hasn't worked out for them in terms of the possession game.
As Wador escapes the pressure, up to Shepard. We'll get a whistle here as Shepard was in ahead of the play. Or excuse me, that's Sergeyev. And well in front of the play, Daniil Sergeyev wearing 33 tonight instead of 32. A late kit change for him. The native of Glenview, Illinois. Transferred from Bradley University this season. Played in 14 games in 2 seasons at Bradley. As Wador will just see out the pressure.
You're at that point in the first half where in a 1-0 game, if you're Michigan State, you'd love to put that second one up on the board, feeling really good going into halftime. If you're Chicago State, you'd love that equalizer on the other end too.
That ball picked out by Sean Martin. Chicago State can bring it forward if they choose. To Sergeyev. able to work around Insko. Sergev, 1-on-3 with the cutback. Daniel Sergev just tucked inside that near post. And a great flash of effort from the Cougars. Let's take a look at that.
Nice inside cut there from Sergev. And that's what you love to see from your forwards up front. You got to make men miss when you're on the run like that. Sergev did. He just wasn't able to quite complete the finish.
Sergev making his 6th appearance this season. Already 2 goals to his name of the 5 that have been scored by the Cougars in the early part of this 2022 season. And Martin able to use his body. He'll win himself a throw-in. Chicago State doing well in response after going down 1-0. Sudeth. Now to the far side. B1G trying to work around 2 players as Mercer came in on the backtrack. Insko will clear the danger.
Chicago State getting a little bit more aggressive here, creating some opportunities for themselves.
Gianni Ferry. He'll go back to Insko as Ferry makes his way back onto the pitch in place of those 2 starting freshman forwards. The senior out of Windsor, Ontario, is making his 3rd appearance. His first 2 coming in the past week against the 14th ranked team in the nation in Akron a few weeks ago, or last week I should say, and an appearance against Bowling Green. Is along that far side, Mercer wins the Spartans a corner with under 10 to play in the first.
Let's see if this corner they can make as successful as that last one. As we all can remember, the last one was where they created their first goal-scoring opportunity, or their first goal, I should say.
It'll be Luis Sala to send it in. Looking for a similar service to the last. Michigan State's 5th corner. The in-swinger going back post, and that one cleared away by Flores. The return sent just over the bar by Zuge. And another goal kick for Chicago State. Mercer unable to get on the end of it. Falls out to Zuge, who just sent it blazing over the bar. A shot that was always rising.
Those are the opportunities you just live for as the midfielder on the corner kick. For the rebound to come right back out to you for a perfect volley, and Zuge just put a little over the bar.
Mercer. And there's a shot, and that one hit a defender as Sudith took the sting out of it as it rolls into Seifert. Getting on the end of that one was Kovac.
And I think that if that doesn't hit a defender, that one might be in the back of the net.
Just a few moments ago, entering the game for Michigan State, Kellen Landefeld, as Luis Sala makes his way off the pitch. A solid 38 minutes played. That ball picked out by the aforementioned Landfeld. He'll give it right back to Sudeth. Lovely bit of footwork from him to escape the pressure from the Spartans. As Calwayne Allen unable to get on the end of it. Landfeld will spring the Spartans forward. And a late whistle here is Spartans in ahead of the play. An offside, the first one of the game for Michigan State. And a reprieve for the Cougars.
If you're Coach Rensing, I think you got to be pretty happy with how this first half has gone, considering that you got a goal, you were able to keep Chicago State off the scoreboard, and you've really created a lot of opportunities in your attack, put a lot of pressure on Seifert.
And Seifert, just the lone blemish on his resume for tonight, has done well in the face of the danger from the Spartans. As Sergeyev commits that foul on Josh Adam. The Spartans with 6.5 minutes to possibly tack on another, something that would drive Chicago State head coach Norris Howes crazy if his team were to give up a late goal in this first half. And that's something that would drive all soccer coaches crazy. You don't want to give up a goal in the final 5 or the first 5 of a game.
Momentum is just so important, and it's things like that. Start of the game, end of the half, start of the half. Those 3 points of a game are the most important when it comes to momentum, because they can just boost a team for the rest of the game.
No foul, says the referee, as winning that ball back was Kovac. A shrug of the shoulder there from Flores. He doesn't commit one either, as Mercer tried to hold him up. He'll instead win Michigan State a throw-in, taken quickly by Landfeld. Ball sent back out to Jack Beck, who's made his way back on. Just not on the same connection with Crawford. It'll be a throw-in for Chicago State.
Michigan State's had a couple of those points throughout this first half, just a little bit out of sync with their passes. You got to be able to convert the small ones to be able to get the bigger ones. And they've just been a little bit off when it comes to those through balls so far tonight.
As we'll get a double substitution for Chicago State. Andres Bermudez into the game, as well as Amani Amrani. Amrani, the native of the Democratic Republic of the Congo. One of 13 players, or one of 13 countries represented on this Chicago State roster. The Congo represented by Amrani, a few Frenchmen, some from Barbados, Togo, Israel, and the United States, but a really well represented global order at Chicago State.
For those smaller universities like Chicago State, getting some of those international players can really help you find talent that is being overlooked sometimes by some of those bigger schools who are focusing their time on some of the recruits in the United States. So for Chicago State, they're definitely not afraid to expand their horizons when it comes to their roster. And so far, it's been pretty good for them, I should say.
Chicago State still building a program up from ruins after being reinstated to Division I soccer, playing in the MAC this year after 2 years in the WAC, playing a lot of teams from the southwestern part of the United States, I should say. And that's really something that Norris Howes was saying on Saturday when I talked to him, was this isn't necessarily a game that Chicago State wants a result out of. Any coach would want a positive result out of a game, but they're really focusing on building a culture, really trying to settle in what Chicago State is and how Chicago State is going to play, especially coming back after a 3-decade hiatus from playing collegiate soccer.
And we mentioned in the open, a win here tonight would be a program-altering one. I mean, this changes the landscape of everything that you've been trying to do. It speeds up your entire process, as you said, building it up from the ruins. And if they were able to come away with a win at DeMartin against a Big Ten school like Michigan State, I mean, you can't even really describe the benefits that they would reap from that.
The Cougars picked to finish 5th in the Mid-Atlantic Conference. I just had to get clarification from my partner that is what the MAC stands for. I should know. I get MACtion every Tuesday. A conference that will be spearheaded by Bowling Green, Akron, Northern Illinois, to name a few, as Sergeyev well past the line that was set by Michigan State. Insko did well to step up late. But Daniil Sergeyev, one of the lone firecrackers on this Cougars team. 2 of the team's 5 goals heading into this one. And when you take a look at the MAC, the only other team that we didn't list was Western Michigan, who these same Spartans played just a few weeks ago, or just last week, I should say, a 1-0 loss here at DeMartin. But that's a really stacked conference when you think about it.
The MAC is certainly a loaded conference, and I mean, you just mentioned a few of the teams, but I mean, it's competitive every year. Everyone knows about the Akrons of the world, the Bowling Greens, the Northern Illinois, but you know, it's teams like Chicago State that can definitely make a run, get those middle seeds there in the tournament, and potentially steal bids.
Michigan State with just about 70 seconds left to go in the first half. Able to flip the point of attack, and errant pass there by Crawford. Calwayne Allen with it. Out to Wador. Looking for Sergeyev. That ball picked out by Adam and sent in on Owen Finnerty, who hasn't been tested so far in this game and has seen little to no action so far in this first half.
Yeah, he had the one opportunity there on the run by Sergeyev, but other than that, he's been really had nothing going on. That's a dangerous play right there.
Koshihasi and a stop time here as it looks as though Gianni Ferry may have gotten clipped up high, but a foul given to Dominic Koshihasi, and he'll go into the book, the first booking of tonight's game, and that sets up a dangerous free kick for Michigan State late in this first half.
Yeah, and that's not one of those yellow cards that, like, you really feel like the intent was necessarily there, but just the way the play was, the dangerous play, having, as we get another look at it, just having the cleats that close to the face. Yeah, I mean, you can just tell there probably wasn't a lot of intent there, but that's just for cautionary reasons you got to award the card.
A dangerous play there as the referee whistled for a high boot from Dominic Koshihasi. The transfer from Midwestern State in Texas and Utah Tech, committing the foul and getting the game's first yellow card. It'll be Perkins and Beck to decide who takes this one. The four-man wall of Chicago State as Seifert protects his near post.
This is just a really difficult spot to defend a free kick because you can barely see the ball.
Perkins, and swatted away by Seifert, and the rebound, Fieri! Gianni Ferry! Chicago State with maybe one last effort. Daniil Sergeyev works around one. Sergeyev! Parried away by Finnerty. Not clear, though. And finally, Perkins will clear the danger. And blast it forward off the foot of Ferry. And that will do it. Michigan State, it may not have been pretty for the first 15 minutes, but 2 goals in the final 30 minutes sees them up at halftime. 2-0 over Chicago State. Underway for the second 45, but Michael, that first goal for Michigan State, a little bit contentious.
Yeah, I mean, you don't exactly know. Those angles aren't really going to quite tell you where the ball was when it was off of Mercer and possibly across the goal line, but it's one of those things that I guess it looked like it was off of Gugamis. I think we can all agree on that, but we don't exactly know because that angle is just so hard to judge where the ball was in coordination with the goal line.
Either way, it's still the one of the 2 goals that is on the board here for Michigan State, but there's another look I want to talk about whenever we get a chance, because it's looked as though that Jack Gugamis, if he heads this one in, or if he heads that goal in, may have been just a shoestring offside, but if we can get another look at that at some point in this broadcast. But nonetheless, Michigan State up 2-0 after the first 45, going from right to left to start this half. It'll be picked out by Calwayne Allen. Out to Sudeth. Sergeyev gets that ball picked out right in the middle of the park as you get a look as Jake Spadafora back into the match for Michigan State.
Michigan State going to look to get the next goal. The next goal of this game is so important. With a 2-0 score, the next goal can sometimes dictate how the game's going to go. Of course, it's very difficult to come back from 3-0, but if the Cougars can get the next goal. All of a sudden it's 2-1, and then you're within one of being equal.
Perkins, a lovely cutback, unable to get around Wador, and finally cleared away by Calway and Allen. But the Spartans once again able to keep the pressure going. And just unable to connect on that was Spadafora. So it'll be another Chicago State throw-in. The Cougars really not much going well for them at the end of that first half, trying to flip the script in the second 45. Find its way to Valeriano, one of the few halftime substitutions for Chicago State. Sudeth still waiting for options, just waiting and waiting as the referee blows up. As Calway and Allen just getting a little bit of a talking to from the head official.
And it's important for Chicago State to just stay level-headed right now. You're down 2-0. You don't want to put yourself in a situation where you're handing Michigan State an opportunity to potentially go up 3. You just have to keep your emotions in check when you're trailing in a game like this.
And once again, another throw in for Chicago State, this time taken quickly, but immediately picked out by the Spartans. Crawford. Dispossessed, but once again, Michigan State trying to ping it around in the middle of the field.
And how the weather is right now may change the way that the pitch plays as it continues to rain. It's going to dampen the field just a little bit. The ball's going to be moving a little bit slicker. It's going to move a lot faster and with more pace, and obviously footing's going to be harder to grip. So we'll see how that impacts the players here in the second half.
A slight look from Spadafora as he received that pass from Sala, but another look at Spadafora. He's used a lot of his energy. Found himself in some good areas for the Spartans, just unable to get on the score sheet so far tonight.
Spadafora had his first career goal in the opener against Army on a beautiful right-footed strike into the lower corner. Another one of the freshmen that have really shown up big time for the Spartans this year. We talked about Gugumis in the first half.
That's a lovely through ball. Crawford connecting on the far side. Spadafora just ahead. And that play looked as though it was intended for Gianni Ferry. He just couldn't get on the end of it, but Spadafora well in front of the back line as Wador played him offside. A good play by the Frenchman.
Got to give a lot of credit there to the Cougars' back line. That wasn't a thing where Spadafora was necessarily trying to be offsides. He just happened to be standing in offsides position, and the Cougars just kind of caught him. I don't think Spadafora was expecting that pass to come all the way over to him. Just an unfortunate situation there for the Spartans.
As Wador couldn't pick that ball off. Spadafora looking for Ferry. Picked out by Kashihasi, and a back heel by Ferry to no one in a white jersey. And a good look for Michigan State, quick off that throw-in. Is Josh Adam able to pick away the pressure? Sala. Now Chicago State trying to bring it forward. They just can't get away from this midfield of Michigan State.
Yeah, and you mentioned it. The midfield has really played well for the Spartans in this game. They've been able to play that transitionary period from the attacking third to the defending third beautifully and continually give their forwards opportunities.
Cromer. Now back for Enska. Cromer with it again. Beautiful sidestep to Crawford. He sends it into the mix. But no one there in a white jersey again. And finally sent out for a throw-in as well. Perkins makes the 50-yard retreat for Michigan State. Let's take another look. Tyler Crawford sending that one too much zip on it. But Crawford's played very well in this game. Very well in the past few games as well for Damon Rensing's squad, really earning a spot along the near side or along that left back position. A back line that nobody really knew what was going to happen in the starting lineup for Michigan State, as they were without Elijah Howe today, and it didn't look as though Chase Sinsko was warming up this afternoon, but he gets to start in place of Howe, and this back line for Michigan State really starting to settle itself in as the dominant four of Crawford, Howe, Josh Adam, and Will Perkins. As Ferry tried to win himself a throw-in, it'll go out for a goal kick as Seifert with another goal kick to start this second half.
And you can't forget Nick Stone in that back line too, whether he comes off the bench or is in the starting lineup. As we take another look at where that ball was at there on the end line.
And that's going to be a free kick as Suddeth and Cromer got into it. Just a little bit of a lean from Suddeth. Let's take another look at that. Just not going for the ball with Suddeth puts Cromer in a dangerous position.
Certainly not the way you want to land there on your head. Hopefully he's okay and can shake it off.
Spadafora locked in with Martin. Played outside looking for Perkins. Unable to get past the speedy Allen. It'll go off of Perkins' foot, so another throw in for Chicago State. And just a suffocating midfield for the Spartans, able to win another ball in the middle of the park as the referee whistles for a foul on Flores. So Michigan State with a free kick just outside of the final third. Luis Sala able to use his big frame to shield off Flores and win himself a free kick.
Michigan State's played almost this entire half here on the Chicago State side of the field. The Cougars really just have to get something going offensively, but as we mentioned, they're more of a counterattack team rather than just a possession-based one.
Now sent back in, looking for Crawford! What a beautiful strike! It's Jack Gugamis gets on the score sheet. 2 goals in 2 games. It's Michigan State 3, Chicago State 0. And a turnover there by Suddeth, who was unable to win that header in the 6-yard box. Here comes Chicago State the other way. Looking for Sergeyev, picked out though by Insko. Last touch off of Chicago State.
If you're Chicago State, now that you've conceded that 3rd goal, you need a goal as quickly as possible to get that back to a 2-goal line. But right now, offense has definitely been at a premium for the Cougars.
It's very committed. The foul. The Cougars will switch play along that far side, looking to get something going. Agyekam. Now to the near side. Koshihasi. To Reed Stephen. Looking for Sergeyev, in all alone! As that ball skips into the paws of Owen Finnerty. Possibly the most dangerous attack for Chicago State in this game.
You got to give credit there to the forwards for Chicago State, really shielding Finnerty from the ball there. He didn't really see it till the last second, but he was able to recognize the threat in time and make the save.
Finnerty, the transfer from Michigan, hasn't been busy in this game. Will possibly be credited with 1 save on that shot pass, it seemed. Intended for Daniil Sergeyev. Michigan State looking to see this game through with just over half an hour remaining. Chicago State really just picking at straws at this point, trying to get something positive out of this game before they embark on their MAC campaign, and the schedule doesn't get any easier for them as they'll commit a foul. Calwayne Allen, a stop time here. He's going to go into the book. It'll be the second yellow card for the Cougars tonight as Calwayne Allen commits the foul. It'll be his second yellow card of the season. And the referee just making sure that Calwayne Allen understands what he got, and the clash of knees between him and Sala results in Michigan State with another free kick just 30 yards outside of the frame.
Another opportunity here for Michigan State to really put this game away right here. A direct opportunity. See if they can convert. They've struggled from free kicks so far tonight.
It'll be Sala and Beck that stand over it. As you hear the referee's whistle. Beck sends it well over the bar. And another free kick chance begging for Michigan State. Already up by 3. But a chance to make it 4 for the Spartans. It's Jack Beck, one of the few senior captains on this team. Just a little bit too much under. Not a bad strike, though, from 30 yards.
You mentioned how for Chicago State it certainly doesn't get any easier after this one. They got University of St. Thomas before going on the road to Notre Dame, who we saw them against this Spartan team, and they played pretty well in that one before entering MAC play. And they're going to play some of the big guns right away: Western Michigan, Northern Illinois, Akron, and Bowling Green. So Chicago State looking for a lot of momentum here tonight, and they just haven't performed to the level in order to get one of those wins.
And just before that, B1G just able to work his way through the Spartan defense. A really good opportunity, just unable to put it on frame, as Finnerty will send it back into the middle of the park. But as you said, Chicago State, it does not get easier, especially in the MAC conference with those Western Michigan Broncos, the Akrons of the world, the Northern Illinois of the world. It does not get any easier for this team in their first year of MAC play, with only a few seasons played in the WAC. A 2-13 record last season, I believe, last year, or 2-13-3 last year. 0-9, 0-9-2 in the WAC. But one of their few wins, one of those 2 wins last year was a season opening victory over Northwestern, a 2-1 victory. A very surprising result given that Northwestern is that Big Ten team looking to make a splash in the Big Ten over the past few years.
But when you're 0-9-2 in the conference, you're just never going to be where you want to be. Non-conference play is great, but conference play is where you get your seeding, and that's where you get an opportunity in your conference tournament to steal an automatic bid into the NCAA tournament. And Chicago State not performing well so far in the conference, and moving into the MAC, who, as we said, is a very good soccer conference.
As Sala will commit that foul, it'll be another free kick for Chicago State. So we'll take a look at the upcoming schedule mentioned for for Chicago State. Just a few home and homes for the Cougars in the MAC upcoming, and then those out-of-conference games against Notre Dame and the University of Southern Indiana. So not a lot of traveling for the Cougars to finish off the last few months of the season. It's Michigan State with a pair of throw-ins, just slowing the game down, it seems, in the past 15 minutes.
That's what you have to do at this point. Up 3-0. Just possess the ball. Don't make mistakes. And as we mentioned, they don't have a shutout yet this year. I'm sure they would love to give Owen Finnerty a clean sheet. And that just starts with possession and controlling the game. They can't take their foot off the gas despite what it says on the scoreboard.
And as you said, that shutout that the Spartans have been searching for this year, the last time they've had a shutout back in 2021 against the Ohio State Buckeyes, a 1-0 victory for the Spartans here at DeMartin. Chicago State really just trying to control any sort of possession they can get. Koshihasi, now to Flores. Goes to the far side for Umanji. Over to Wador. Into the middle of the park. Valeriano! Takes a deflection. Another one wouldn't go. A few good opportunities for Chicago State in the last few seconds. As Rocha had the first one. And Reed Stevens tried to go back to the near side as Owen Finnerty used a shoulder. The in-swinger won't beat the first man. It'll find Spadafora. And a very quick Umanji able to recollect for the Cougars. So this ball finds its way all the way back to Seifert. As Umanji trying to work his way around Jack Gugamis. As Seifert will boot it back up the pitch. Umanji to Niall Reed-Stephen. Doesn't take the overlap. He'll go far side for Sergeyev. And the ball cleared away by Sala, trying to work around Umanji. He'll win out. And a good chance for Chicago State. As we take a look at Michigan State's upcoming schedule, traveling to Washington this Friday, and then starting their Big Ten schedule against Indiana, Michigan, Wisconsin, and a big battle against Penn State, who's one of those top teams in the nation, as Michigan State will play a lot of top teams, including Washington on Friday, ranked number 3 heading into this week. Shepard. Umanji. Trying to dance around Zuge. Back outside. Lovely bit of skill there on the outside, but picked out immediately. But here comes Chicago State. Belted right off the shin pads of Zuge in front. And finally sent out of play.
And you mentioned the upcoming MSU schedule. Just a lot of tough games coming up on the road at number 3 Washington. And obviously the Big Ten schedule coming up against some of those top teams. Michigan, always a difficult game. Penn State projected to finish number 1 in the Big Ten this year. They are the defending champions from a year ago. So this is the last real opportunity Michigan State has to prepare for those games the rest of the way.
And especially with tonight's scoreline, that'll be something that Damon Rensing would like to instill into his players, is the confidence that they can get from a 3-0 victory like this. as it hasn't been smooth sailing for the Spartans in the past week and a half. Here comes Chicago State, though. And a lovely bit of footwork as Ferry can bring it forward along the near side for Michigan State. Gianni Ferry, shadowed there by Martin. Or excuse me, Koshihasi, and he'll see it out for a goal kick. A lovely defensive effort by Dominique Koshihasi, who's got that yellow card in the game that resulted in one of Michigan State's goals. Koshihasi, a native of Frisco, Texas, after being born in Abidjan, Israel. Went to Independence High School, just about a 15-minute drive from where I went to high school. Played his football team a few times a couple of years ago. Did beat them all those times. Koshihasi. Back to Seifert. Seifert just looking for any option going forward. As Josh Adam will pick that out.
Liking what I'm seeing from Chicago State here at this point. They're starting to get a little bit more aggressive, and it's always good to see a team, even down 3-0, they're going to keep fighting, trying to get that goal. It's just a little bit of momentum going into their schedule the rest of the way. So
start to try and ruffle some feathers or ruffle some of the players in white jerseys tonight. And that's the way that Michigan State has been put under pressure by a few of these teams late in games, is that physicality being brought out late in the last half hour for their opponents, and that's really been the difference. Shepard lines up, and that one parried away and kept in by Finnerty. It's Jaye Shepard had a whack at it from about 25 yards away.
And we'll see this opportunity here. Nice save there from Finnerty. One of the only times that he's been tested so far, as we've pointed out. But, again, Chicago State really turning up some of the heat here on offense. They're getting aggressive, and they're starting to show their speed there in the attacking third. And Michigan State just a little bit slow there on the back line. See if they can recover here in the final 20 minutes.
Jaye Shepard, no stranger to big moments. He's actually made a few international appearances for his home country in Trinidad and Tobago with their U17 teams. 2 goals against Jamaica in the U17 CONCACAF Championships back in 2019. One of those 13 international players that we talked about earlier, but one of the few with international caps for his home team.
Well, and one of the other ones.
Trying to keep it in. Seifert will see it out for a goal kick, a corner kick. Last touch off of Seifert. So take a look at it. Gugum is trying to get there first, and that one goes off of the arm of Seifert. And as you said, Michael, that wet pitch just brings him off the field, and he concedes the corner.
Yeah, the pitch is going to play a lot more slick now, having a little bit of moisture on it.
Landfeld with the in-swinger, couldn't find Insko. Back out for Zuge. Over to Adam. Being pestered there immediately, finds the retreat. Sent in. A bowling by Seifert. But it doesn't matter as MSU was offside. Take a look at that. Mercer with the beautiful link up, but blown dead before as Mercer was offside. But here comes Grayson Mercer. Interlocked Mercer! That one wouldn't go, and cleared away by Koshihasi. Lovely effort there by Grayson Mercer, searching for the brace. Oh, there's an errant pass. Niall Reed-Steven. Still Reed-Steven. Backtrack. Reed-Steven! And Chicago State gets one back. Niall Reed-Steven off of an error at the back. It's Michigan State 3, Chicago State 1.
And we highlighted Niall Reed-Steven before the game for plays like that. Just a beautiful split there of the defenders. And then the left foot, Finnerty just had no chance. And there goes that shutout opportunity for Michigan State. And good job by Chicago State getting on the board. It seemed like it was brewing that was a possibility, and now they need a couple more, but you can't say it's over yet with 20 minutes to go.
The sophomore from Bridgetown, Barbados, with his third goal of the year, his first one since the brace he scored against the Northwestern Wildcats. And that puts the goose egg out of the question for Michigan State. Is Owen Finnerty. You saw that reaction from him. He was bewildered after letting in that goal.
And you mentioned the international players for Chicago State. Niall Reed-Steven, being one of those players playing for his home country of Barbados.
Still Reed-Steven, and that one wouldn't go, and finally able to pounce on it was Finnerty. Is Niall Reed-Steven shot out of the cannon on that left-hand side.
As I was saying, let's take another look at this replay here. Nice shot there from Reed-Steven, hard foot there.
He also had Jesse Agyekum in the mix. Decided to go for goal, but you can't blame the man. When you're feeling it, you got to go for it. And it's seemingly after Michigan State has had all this control, a little bit of life to the Chicago State team.
Been playing faster. We know that they're a team that likes to get out and run. Those counterattacks are really starting to come into play. And Michigan State's getting a little bit flat-footed. And it looks like that speed surprising them just a little bit.
Michigan State, though, trying to reclaim that 3-goal lead. Gugamis right off of the face of Flores. But here comes the speedy Chicago State counter, and unable to get on the end of it was Reed-Steven as Umanji tried the through ball.
As I was mentioning with Reed-Steven, international caps for his home country of Barbados. He made his starting debut on the senior national team in the 2022 World Cup qualifying match against Panama. So big time play and crucial moments there for Niall Reed-Steven in his home country of Barbados.
And not to mention, he did so at the ripe old age of 19 years old, making his first senior start in a World Cup qualifying match. Landefeld for Michigan State. Back out to Sharp, trying to play it in for Spatafora. Find its way back out along the near side. Cromer, he'll whip it back in. That one dealt with by Koshihasi. Sharp able to keep it in just in front of his own bench. Adam will play it forward. Looking for Mercer. He'll commit the foul. It'll go as Wador will play it quickly.
Take another look
foul
at that
there
foul
by Mercer.
Yeah. Not much there, just a little bit of contact.
Kept in, though, by Shepard. Trying to play Reed-Steven forward. It'll find its way to Landfeld at the halfway line. Out to Grayson Mercer. Trying to play Landfeld. It'll roll in on Seifert. Chicago State in desperation time with a quarter of an hour left, having to play it quickly. It's Josh Adam having to leap over his netminder, as Owen Finnerty had to come out and grab that one before the speedy Reed-Steven could get there first.
Michigan State's just got to be careful. Chicago State really getting some nice looks here. Finnerty's really had to make a lot of plays here late in this game with only 15 minutes to go. If you're Michigan State, you don't want to make this closer than it needs to be, allow that second goal, and lead to one mistake, tying it up.
Gugamas trying to get around Flores. Jaye Shepard. And he'll go down as Cromer commits the foul. A sneaky foul by Cromer. Lucky to not go in the book, in our opinion, from up here. Could have been deemed a yellow card if the referee would have believed that Cromer impeded an attacking opportunity for Chicago State.
This is great spacing here from the Cougars. Something we did not see from them in the first half. Just making life easier to make those short passes as we talked about. And then converting on the through balls when it matters.
Koshihasi trying to deal with the pressure of Mercer. He'll send it out and concede the throw in as we'll get a triple substitution for Michigan State. The Spartans will try and take as much time off the clock as possible.
Number 22, Will Perkins, and number 2, Jack Beck.
As Will Perkins and Jack Beck back onto the pitch for Michigan State.
Coach Rensing goes to his two seniors here late. Get some fresh legs on the pitch to try to close this one out. Just got a long way to go.
Jack Beck to Sharp along the far side. The newly returning Kovac. Back to Landfeld. Sent along the near side for Mercer. Beck. Now for Perkins. And a foul given away by Efrain Rivas as Grayson Mercer got upended. So it'll be another free kick for Michigan State in the final third as Rivas commits his first foul since coming in.
And this is going to be one of those moments. Michigan State in absolutely no hurry. They are going to take their time, ask for their 10 yards, whatever it takes to just watch those seconds tick away before taking this free kick.
It'll be Perkins to step up. The in-swinger straight in on Seifert. He'll play it quickly. Dealt with by Sharp. Umanji not on the same page with Reed Stephen. It'll go out for a Michigan State throw. And a very good opportunity goes awry for Chicago State.
They're not going to have many more here as the match goes on. You got to take advantage of them. They still need 2 goals. You can't get the tie without getting the first one.
And a second goal would be huge for Chicago State, not only putting them within 1, but it would be the first time that they've scored 2 goals in a match since that 3-3 draw at the beginning of the season.
Give good momentum as they approach their tougher part of the schedule, as we hit on earlier. But to see a couple goals go in against a good opponent in Michigan State, it can't hurt, certainly, even though that you've given up a few goals and may not be able to get the result that you want in the end.
Trying to play that ball through to Agyekam. To be dealt with by Jeremy Sharp. The Cougars trying to get something going forward. Calwayne Allen. Trying to find options going forward. Agyekam tried to play off the shoulder of Josh Adam. It'll be a throw-in for Chicago State.
This is where you're going to need the Spartan back line to step up.
As we'll get a substitution as Jaye Shepard makes his way to the touchline. It'll be Daniil Sergeyev making his way back up in the lone forward spot. The long throw. Looking for Sergeyev, dealt with by Insko. And Sergeyev looks as though he took a hit in the box. No foul, says the referee, as it'll go out for a Michigan State throw-in.
Yeah, and I thought that throw-in just took a little bit long to develop, but from that part of the field, you got to treat that throw-in almost like a corner. It's one of those set-piece opportunities that you can really have.
Michigan State going to take their time on these throw-ins, just looking to take off as much time as possible. Not necessarily eking out a 3-1 victory at the moment, but a few mental mishaps have led to a few opportunities for the Cougars. They just have not been able to execute in the final third, much like the Spartans heading into tonight's matchup. Zuge. Out to Sharp. Landfeld. Wanted the 1-2 with Sharp. It'll go back to back. As that ball picked out by the Cougars, they could spring it forward. Sergeyev being held up there by Insko. He'll go down. That'll stop time as Chase Insko. He's going to go into the book for a foul. And that will allow Chicago State to get numbers going forward here with just under 10.
And that was a very hard foul there from Insko. Probably deserving of that yellow card. First of the game for Michigan State. Chicago State needs to build off these opportunities. Can't right there.
Sean Martin trying to weave his way through, almost parted the Red Sea there of the Michigan State defense. Just able to pick 4 flip-flaps and just get his way through the Michigan State defense, but nothing coming for Chicago State. The ball sent out along that far touchline for a Cougar throw-in.
Michigan State really content making Chicago State have to reset. Make them go the length of the pitch here to score their goals. You cannot be rewarding them opportunities in the attacking third or even in the middle third. You have to make them string some passes together and then have a good finish.
Lovely bit of skill there from the referee to avoid that pass from Zuge. The bench for Chicago State waving their players back. But here comes Landfeld. He's onside. Kellen Landfeld, he gets pulled over. Penalty, says the referee.
Just a mistake there by the defender. Looked like Sean Martin there on the foul, and yeah, he got right in front of him. That's going to be a trip. Good call there, and one of those things that you just can't do if you're the Cougars down 2 goals. And now Marco Seifert's going to have to come up big for his team and try to keep him in the game here.
Sean Martin committing the foul that puts Will Perkins up to the spot with an opportunity to seal the game. The Detroit native with an opportunity to seal a victory for Michigan State. And a Panenka! And Will Perkins steps up from the spot and slides it in. It's Michigan State 4, Chicago State 1. Chicago State with 8 minutes to take more than just a few lessons from this game, trying to settle the score closer to a reasonable score line.
And for Chicago State.
Amrani. Oh. And blasted in on goal, and it almost barreled over was Finnerty. But he was able to take the sting out of it and recollect.
And for Chicago State, it's really been the mistakes that have hurt him in this one. A couple of goals off of some penalties, some fouls that have given Michigan State the opportunity to score. And we saw it on the first goal with the set piece, then there on the penalty. Just not well enough for the Cougars.
Oh, and in on goal, Mercer! And that one pawed down. Ferry wouldn't go. And the Chicago State defense crumbling in the final 8 minutes of this one.
And that's one of those plays just for Ferry. The goal just widened so big when you see that rebound coming right back to you, and you just got to get the head over the ball. So we take another look. Just leaned a little bit too far back, and the ball just kind of sailed on him. You got to get your head over that ball, keep it level, and put it right into the back of the net in a line drive, and Ferry just couldn't convert.
The corner to be taken by Jack Beck. The in-swinger looking for Mercer, pawed away though by Seifert. And sliced out of the 18 by the Cougars. The pressure still going. Zuge unable to keep it in along the near side. It'll be another throw-in for Chicago State with just over 6 minutes left to go.
If you're Chicago State at this point, you can choose how you want to go out here. See if they maybe try to move quickly and get a goal, or just sit back and let the clock run out.
Zuge against Rivas. Has Perkins in support. Perkins will drive it in. And unable to get the header on goal was Mercer. And Michigan State, after conceding that goal to Niall Reed-Steven, has really just tightened the screws in the final 10 minutes. And getting that fourth goal, the fourth different goal scorer of Will Perkins, getting that penalty, the spot kick. And Michigan State looking to just see out the final 5 minutes here in East Lansing. But they could go for more.
If you're Coach Rensing, that's really all you want to see. It's okay to concede a goal, but you want to be able to recover from that and play better out of it. You don't get the shutout tonight, but you still have more opportunities this year to get that.
And for Chicago State, much of the same problems that plagued them against UIC have plagued them tonight. Goals off of set pieces and just silly defensive mistakes, defensive lapses that have resulted in the 4 goals being put on the board for Michigan State. Sent in by Sharp, trying to find Kovac. It'll be picked out, though, by Calway Allen. Manny Amrani. Dispossessed to Ferry. Now to Landfeld. Trying to work around the end line. Wador sealed him off. And it will go out for a goal kick.
With 4 minutes to go, an all-around great showing from the Spartans here tonight. Chicago State just not able to really get any sort of substantive momentum. They had the 1 goal, but after that, it just didn't really get much.
Amrani committing the foul in the middle of the park. Michigan State, just play it quickly. Get the ball rolling, as Sharp will just play it out, looking for Landfeld. Both of them not on the same page, but not necessarily the statement win that Damon Rensing eyed and when he put this schedule together, but certainly a win in the win column nonetheless. And a lot of momentum for the Spartans going forward against a tough task in Washington, who's ranked 3rd in the nation heading into tonight, jumping 5 spots since last week in the U.S. coaches, or the United Soccer Coaches poll.
And wins are simply wins, and it's going to make that trip out to Seattle that much better, knowing that you're coming off of a victory rather than a loss in a game that Michigan State definitely should have won, and they controlled for a majority of the 90 minutes.
And for Chicago State, they can take some positives out of this one. They were still that tough defensive team that Norris Howes wanted. He wants Chicago State's opponents to just wear down his team, be a bane to the opposing forward's existence. And despite those set pieces, they've basically played a perfect game at the back. Just a few mental lapses. Koshihasi with that yellow card that set up one of Michigan State's 4 goals, and then the penalty conceded by Sean Martin here in the later stages of this second half.
And we saw flashes from the Cougars tonight. We saw their speed. It's a very lengthy team. They're able to make up with great long strides, and it really gave Michigan State some problems in the second half. It just wasn't enough in the long run.
And Kovac unable to get in front of Seifert. So German native will play it quickly. Insko able to deal with it. A foul committed, though, along the Spartan back line. Randy thought about playing it quickly. Waldor will set it up.
See if Chicago State can knock one in here in the final minute. Take a little momentum with them.
Florent Wador with 1 minute. Sent in off the head. Back post for Reed Steven. And it's sent just over the bar. A chance for the brace. Goes begging. And that flash that we saw from the Cougars, apparent there. Just the lack of execution.
Yeah, as we see another look at that, Reed Steven got a really good head on it. Just had too much momentum behind it, and it got a little too much air under the ball, and it just kind of fluttered over the net.
Finnerty will take as much time as possible as Niall Reed Steven, one of the 3 top players for the Chicago State team. If they want to make a splash in the MAC, he's going to be on top, have to be on top of his game in every match going forward. As Michigan State willing to let this ball just casually work its way back onto the pitch, and that'll do it. After winless in the last 4 games, Michigan State pulls out a 4-1 victory over Chicago State.